Thank you all for being here for our monthly MOAD open mic. We're thrilled to have poet Nnenna Loveth featuring this evening. My name is Nia McAllister and I'm the Senior Public Programs Manager at MOAD. MOAD is a contemporary art museum and our mission is to celebrate Black cultures, ignite challenging conversations, and inspire learning through the global lens of the African diaspora. As we begin, again, please continue dropping in the chat where you're calling in from. We also like to ground ourselves in the spaces that we're occupying, as many of us are settlers, immigrants, and/or descendants of those forcibly brought to this continent. Our institutions were founded upon the exclusions and erasures of the indigenous peoples on whose land we are located. MOAD occupies the unceded lands of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples. We pay our respect to the Ohlone peoples and their elders, both past and present, who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. We encourage everyone to learn more about the native lands that you occupy by visiting native-land.ca. And that's a resource that we've shared in the chat for you as well. So I want to welcome all of you to this space. Welcome to the new folks. Welcome to our returning community. Thank you for being here. Our MOAD open mic is a space for community where we bring our full selves and all of our feelings, experiences, perspectives that shape us. And it's a space where we can use art as a way to connect with each other, to find comfort and joy. And I want to emphasize, as always, we center respect in this space. Please respect the mic, respect everyone who's coming up and sharing. It's a very vulnerable thing to be sharing poetry and your thoughts before a public crowd. So shout out to all of our readers who signed up today. I'm very excited to hear from all of you as well as our feature today. So we'll begin the event with the first half of our open mic readers. I'll drop in the chat the lineup as well as call up each reader beforehand. Midway through, we'll have our feature Nnenna as well. And then following the feature, we'll close with our remaining open mic readers. And for those of you who are joining in the audience, I invite you to interact with this space by using the chat, drop in lines that stand out to you, affirmations for our readers. Virtual snaps or claps are always welcome, as well as the reactions. So any and all ways that you can really show love and support to all the people coming up tonight. We do ask you to keep yourselves on mute just so that we can best hear the people that are reading today. And I think that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Vincente Perez as our first reader. Welcome up to the mic.
Thank you, Nia. I'm really excited to be sharing space with you all tonight. I'm going to read two poems. This first poem opened up a really cool folio for Black writers from Poet Lore. It's called Call for Poems, a spoof on the typical call for poems. Submit. Poems will be guest judged by whiteness. Buy previous editions to get a feel for the work we like to master. Submit. Submit how and when we say. Free submissions. You won't have a chance at being published anyways. We are equitable like that. Please read the actionless commitments we made to marginalized groups some years ago for more info. We're all about theory. Push us to be mindful. Submit. We have already solicited. The submission window is now closed. We refuse any poems our guest judge deems gimmicky or playful. We are a serious magazine. Pressing the ink is no small matter. As a brand new institution, we are oppressed to show the big dogs we mean business. Submit. The theme is always feigned neutrality, AKA libidinal economy, sometimes dubbed narrative objectivity, otherwise known as status quo. Full guidelines for the theme are behind this paywall canon. All proceeds from sales go straight back to us. We demand rights to all the pieces. Once you give them up, your exposure will be processed within 365 business days. Thank you. And this next, last poem that I'm gonna read is from my forthcoming, not forthcoming, it's now it's in pre-order and gonna get published in about 2 months, so I'm really excited. This poem's called Fractals Fractions from my book, Other Stories to Tell Ourselves. A percentage point killed a homeless woman today. No, really, it took her into the cold street and shot her. The roundup cops were sent by some higher up. What are you gonna do when the choice is your pockets or some faceless, nameless family you would have stepped past anyways? A spreadsheet loaded a pistol. An algorithm whispered in its ear, told him, just let the numbers do it for you. It don't hurt none. It's just the way we do things here. You bring a quarterly report to a gunfight and make people forget their hunger, their children. Point out the gun and ignore the fractions doing dances in the background. Algorithms can't be drawn and quartered. This math has vivid history. Fractals become fractions in the alchemy of race science, melting, dripping, tarring. Just remember to buy cheap and stay in the black. Thank you.
Wow, incredible. What a way to start us off Instant Day. Thank you so much. Next up, I would like to invite Norm Maddox up to the mic. Welcome, Norm.
Hey, good evening. I have some new poetry and some poetry that's never been read up in here. So let me get started here. Heart of illusions. Building dreams from bones left over from other disasters. A Trojan heart welcomed into my home, shared wealth and extraordinary love, and a treasure of vulnerabilities with love as the visa for entry. The first time you came, I failed to notice the kindling you left at the door. First glance saw the wood as a gift to warm the hearth of my heart. Perhaps the wood could be used to help with the construction of a series of bridges I was building, closing reciprocal gaps between equal partners. Illusions of a hopeful future, a miscalculation when one love shows up as two without the necessary magic being performed. Closer observation bears the truth of the wood, having been scavenged from demolition sites and wood discarded from other failed projects. With 2021 hindsight, I can recognize the wood brought to the mansion of my heart, the flesh of my soul, my home, as kindling I could use in case I wanted to burn any one of the 7 bridges under construction. Never saw myself using the damaged wood to build a bridge. Never saw myself taking the torch from your hand. Next piece. Before all of this happened, I was going to meet you by the fountain in the park, hug you where you could hug me back in public, feeling the cool flesh, your earlobe, glancing my pursed lips, kissing that warm hollow behind your pierced ear. Was going to see you at point blank range, close enough to inhale your musk, rising between our spaces, warm curves moving mountains, irresistible currents to dive into, indifferent to potential drowning. Was not dreaming of a pixelated facsimile on a cold screen, made believe to be seen, stuck in a 2-dimensional aisle sitting adjacent to you. I was going to feel the glimmer in your eyes, the telescopic vista across my universe where only I can look. The shimmer across my face, only the holograph glow between diodes. Even thousands of miles of separation might combust 2 flaming passions, charred by supernova, unidentified ashes blown to 4 winds. Constrictions on critical spaces where ships are normally built, virtual proximity has illuminated 7 constructed 2-lane bridges spanning the gaps between your chakras and mine. Undergirding, anchored deep enough to grow an equal sign between your expression and my expression, something greater than or equal to love. Last piece, and I'm hoping that this doesn't upset anybody's sensibilities. What the fuck is stochastic terrorism? Reminds me of positional asphyxia. When the advantage is white, there's a confident prediction not white will let go of hope, give up the ghost, take the loss, take the hit, take a life, extinguish the light shining out of a freckle's worth of melanin. Random terrorism is horror, waiting to happen, simmering, waiting for the boil. Another spark adds flame, no more cheeks to turn. This tinderbox begins to burn. When standing your ground becomes an invasion of my personal space. The breath of fear and ignorance smells of hate and crimes against my humanity. Committed in preservation of invented memories make you the hero of a past that never happened. Rewriting history so your grandchildren will feel safe and free of guilt. Generations of trauma ignored and unaccountable when written history is based on half-truths and whole lies. Read faithfully as gospel. Through rose-colored lenses, raising funds off donations, wanting to believe, praying the lies are truth. A great America is a white America. That's why the rage has yet to evaporate. Why the rage Baldwin was writing about 60 years ago resonates with and motivates my muse, expressing the same dynamic in other words. Please write a new ending. Peace.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Norm. It was great to hear new pieces in the space as well. Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Raymond Nat Turner. Welcome, Raymond.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Nia. Glad to be here. And I have one piece, and it's called Man-Child in the Land of Cotton. And this is for two people, an African-American dock worker in Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, Damian Pickett, and a young man by the name of Aaron Rudolph. An epigraph, quote, "We dare maintain our rights," end quote. Alabama state motto. 1, for 40 minutes plus, riverboat captain honked horn and pleaded over public address for pontoon boat to pull out. So big boats, 227 passengers could disembark after letting good times roll on the river. Who knew if babysitters were blowing phones up, if flight plans were flying south, if pregnant people were launching into labor, if an emergency vehicle was waiting to rush someone into surgery? All that was trumped by 90 proof of plantation privilege. Captain's pleas were answered with aerosol white supremacy, with Johnny Walker Red, old granddad Jim Beam back violence. 2, white men appear to do this or that. Oh, not your lying eyes again. Racially motivated? Hate crime? No way. Getting my gun was said in jest, just a riverboat brawl. Montgomery melee. Like the Civil War, very fine people on both sides. No, you didn't see a white mob inwarding running amok in pre-lynch mode. Didn't see feeding frenzied thugs tearing into another Black body like great white sharks or badges under color of law. 3, Black man-child dove deep into Alabama River, dove deep into rivers of Black resistance, dove deep into the heart of Dixie. Black man-child dove deep, swam against the tide to a dock where combative Confederates spoke in jabs, hooks, uppercuts, repeating, Black workers have no authority. White men are bound to respect. Black man-child dove deep, swam against the tide to a dock where racist ruffians were rat packing a Black worker for doing his job, aligning exit gate with exit ramp so 227 could safely disembark. Black man-child dove deep, swam dolphin-like, porpoise purpose, like ancestors escaping slavery, swam in solidarity against the tide to the dock, stopping another F-train lynching, another 9-minute Minnesota murder, another Staten Island strangulation, stopping white supremacist violence. Black man-child dove deep, stood vertically, straight up, steel spine, high walked worker solidarity, unlike shooters and officer prodigy, racist rifle, strapped young gunmen, making bones, gunning down to and walking in Wisconsin. Black man-child dove deep into Alabama River, dove deep into rivers of Black resistance, dove deep in the heart of Dixie, so that another Black worker wouldn't rest in hospital or hashtag in morgue.
Wow, incredible, Raymond. Thank you so, so much. And what a timely poetic response. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
I'd like to invite up Dion Jamal up to the mic. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Nia. This piece is in an anthology called These Black Bodies Are from Atlantia Institute. It's called The Breath of Black Men is Precious. It's inspired by those who need a true story by Tara Betts. They will attempt to treat him like a boy all his life. That's why I call him man. He calls his son over to him. Young Jamal approaches. He gently places his thick hands on little man's tiny shoulders. Daddy shapes small clay hands into fists and holds them in front of Jamal's face. Put man-child in the proper stance. Left foot slightly in front of right, toe in line with heel, tuck chin. Jamal describes the Tia as a breath of fresh air needed to resuscitate a young man, giving him the life needed in a world turned anhedonic. The sweet science echoes in the psyche of this young warrior, his father's voice wrapped in knowledge and tied tight with the twine of agape. Hands up, chin tucked slightly, protect yourself at all times. His presence is a present, fountain of chocolate insight poured into a young chalice eager to drink. There is empathy in the request of the father. Hands up, chin tucked slightly, protect yourself at all times. He mimics the footwork and punches thrown from the battered warrior whose crisp punches and slick pivots reflect the footwork needed in a squared circle of Black reality. Jamal ordered to stop punching, but Daddy needed to save his life. Hands up, chin tucked, protect yourself at all times. After his last punch was thrown, Jamal looked at his father, who was still throwing punches. Enough punches for his father's tortured childhood, enough punches for trees bearing bodies on their limbs, enough punches for being told he'd be nothing but a janitor, and it becomes true. The constant fight to live one more day follows melanated flesh like a son of despair. Poison air rots them from the inside out as they scratch for crumbs. The children should live soft lives wrapped in rainbows of redemption and never tell the story of ghetto life until fathers teaches them how to throw punches. Hands up, chin tucked. Protect yourself at all times. And that's dedicated to my father. Thank you.
Thank you so, so much for sharing that poem. That was beautiful. Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite out Denise Maciel. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you guys for being here. Happy to be back. This poem is called The Phoenix. For 100 days and 100 nights, I prayed for a flat line, read books as if they were scripture, solicited every elder and wise man, uprooted and catapulted myself across oceans, welcomed all things wild and unkempt. I shed tears to gods, cried spells and blazed papers, sacrificed my inner demons to the moon, desiring to rapture myself anew. I begged and I prayed and I just needed some silence. It came to me as I sat outside a pub in Scotland, thousands of miles away from my kin, millions of miles away from my sanity, surrounded by anything but familiarity, suffocated by a desire to disappear. I smoked a cigarette and I downed 3 pints, and as stray tears and ash burned hold through my journal, silence began to fill me with an echo. Where a heart once shred, an empty cavity remained. For 100 days and 100 nights, I doused myself in kerosene and lit ablaze the most destructive of fires. On day 101, I rose from the ashes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was an incredible poem, and it's great to have you back. Thank you. I'm now going to read a couple short pieces and then introduce our teacher. This first poem is one I've done in this space before. It's entitled "In the Day Diamonds Are in the Water," after Toni Morrison. The only time the ocean cut me, I bled stories. They said, what a beautiful yet terrifying thing it is to be free. They said, we have traveled years to bring you our names. We knew you'd forget them, or worse, never recognize them in the first place. They said, remember me, unfold your tongue, gather in your hand all the cities your foremothers birthed freedom in, scatter milkweed seeds in the wind, and call us home. So waterlogged and weary, I bandage my wounds with diamonds and rise from seafoam memory, homebound. I've never been far from the page. How else to learn what moonlight looks like through blue-eyed promises? Oh, but to be Sonia, to be Toni, to be wind in a cotton field scattering marigolds. I wish I knew Arkansas clouds like I do the lines on a palm, like I do the recipe for forgiveness. Joy is memory in the refrain, magic too hopeful to stay hidden. See, the trick to befriending stories is listening after all. Yet sometimes belonging cannot be traced by tide lines or railroads carved out of the night sky, but rather dog-eared pages and overdue book finds. Having a library to owe things to makes one at home, right? So we write, we sing, we rename our story legacy before they claim we were never here in the first place. Find us on the page, as she said, this is the first battlefield we play on. Hear our words dance, and so we too leap into blissful surrender. And one day we will fly, and one day we will fly. And I'll do one quick short one that's in the works. I think last time I read this and I said I would have more this time, and I do not have more. So we're just going to do a repeat and maybe the inspiration will come after this. Abuja thunderstorms greet my waking imagination, a watery homecoming, a blessed revival. There is mischief in the quickness of the rain, the way it arrives in silence and flees like a runaway in the night. Here my breath softens, my tongue sharpens, warm with wonder, my body remembers all that came before. Upon the rock city, the rains begin again. So we pray these travels are long and many. Some of us made it there, and today I make it back. Thank you. And now the moment we're waiting for. Our featured poet for this evening, Nnenna Loveth, is a queer Igbo poet, dancer, and facilitator who descends from a powerful ancestry. Nnenna resides in occupied Massachusetts territory, colonially known as Boston, Massachusetts. They believe that storytelling is magic, and they speak to practice traditions of Igbo orator. Nnenna also published their debut chapbook, Already Knew You Were Coming, with Game Over Books in January of 2022. When they're not writing, they're probably sitting under a tree, reading about love, dancing with friends, or cooking a bomb-ass meal like a true tourist they are. Welcome, Nnenna.
Hello. Hi. Thank y'all so much for having me. Oh my gosh, the poems that y'all read were like, yeah, just spirit. Just took my spirit. So thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a poem called Self-Portrait as a Paradigm Shift. Self-portrait as a paradigm shift. I speak, unwrap my jaw, and red earth comes tumbling out. Banshee child, I be a call for the spirits. My mouth full of motherwort and cola nuts, be a meeting house for gods. I keep my matrilineal home tucked between my teeth. Banshee child, I be a call for the spirits. They call me what I am, a meeting house for gods. I keep my matrilineal home tucked between my teeth and a red lipstick covered knife in my back pocket. They call me what I am, dyke, hungry, mother of much, reincarnate woman, moony-eyed type bitch with the red lipstick covered knife in my back pocket, child of Ekede. Say my names in the spirits descend. Dyke, hungry, mother of much, reincarnate woman, moony-eyed type bitch. All of my names mean the one who brings. Call for me in the spirits descend to bless and purge in equal measure. All of my names mean the one who brings the flame, the wet pine, golden flower petals, all the slow smiles to bless and purge in equal measure. I brought all this earth, all this bounty with me, and the sun will leave when I go. The flames, the wet pine, golden flower petals, all the slow smiles. Bitch, try me again. Like daybreak or moonrise, it is a relief to see and savor my every face, a slow exhale that never stops expanding. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and read from my chapbook, and I will share the link to my website and my chapbook in the chat in case you want to buy it or check it out. Okay. So, I dedicate this chapbook to lonely Black girls. I read once that in nature, sensitivity must be protected or it dies, which is why crabs have shells. In other words, lonely Black girls, you were made to be this tender and this cared for. This first poem that I'm going to read is called Ritual of Artemis, Sacrament of Survivorhood. I was once told that in ancient Greece, followers of Artemis would burn men who raped young girls alive as ritual. I don't believe in hell, but I do believe in justice, and it's time again for children of Artemis to prepare offering. First is to procure the ash, enough to paint each night of the moon's disappearance, cover its surface row by row, dim its luminescence until the day of the month that it is new. Girls deserve to feel safe on a full moon. Here are safe on a full moon when we hunt for our kindling. We take them from the Oval Office, from the streets, from the bars, from the campus, the homes, recording studios. Rapists disappear in the time that it takes to open an eyelid, that it takes to pass a cup from the cupboard, pick up the loose change off the ground. Wind eddies form where a body used to be, a tug of the wrist, and then nothing. People look back to find lovers removed from their grasp. Young girls wake to find their uncles' beds empty and cold. There is a collective sigh, and for a moment, peace. Family reunions feel safe again. The world seems to warm as the fire works, and I don't believe in hell, but I do believe in justice, and the moon reminds us, with each waxing and waning, that we can be born again, that there is such a thing as restoration, so we always offer a chance to change. When one has blasphemed against a body, my siblings and I become the gods they answer to. We hear survivors say prayer and become swift deliverance. See if the unrepentant can be spared, and most times they cannot. The will of the universe arcs towards truth, so that's all we look for you to say our names, what you've done, at least say I'm sorry, and most can't even do that. I've looked rapists in the eyes, watched them deny me 3 times, watched the skin start to crisp, and still try and explain me away, explain trauma away. I've watched so many burn. I don't believe in hell, but I do believe in justice, and each month, as my avengers paint the moon's waning with the ash of our sacrifice, we are reminded that there is such a thing as restoration. Be it by the flame or by the truth, there is such a thing as deliverance. And as Artemis slowly licks clean the cinder of our offering, we are reminded that even a glowing celestial body can arise from the ash. Ashe, ashe. Thank you. Ooh, okay. How are y'all doing? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, good.
Good.
Good. Ooh. I feel like as I'm reading, I'm still like smiling at the ways that I feel like the poems y'all read are in conversations with what I write about. And so, yeah, thank you again for having me. Okay. This next poem that I'm going to read is about the moon again, and it's called Today I Feel Lunacy Only Blood Can Satiate. Today I feel lunacy only blood can satiate, that only the full moon can understand. My manager talks for 30 minutes about shelving this and aisle that, and I daydream out her monotone. The mundane is driving me to madness. I speed home to find my parking spot taken, and the rage that rises sears my cheeks. I grab my bike to sear the concrete instead. A man craves me as I ride on the street, makes it known with his cat call. You know, the strangest thing is, I crave him back. Imagine how soft his neck is, how he'd scream if I bit into it, the exact crack of his vertebrae under my molars, the penny sweet red that would run down my chin and I have to keep from moaning. I want bloody vengeance on my tongue, Mundanity is driving me to madness only a bulbous moon can understand. And she's shining above, laughing at my lunacy. Hey, twin, she winks with a glimmering giggle. Everything is a feral fantasy. I turn to the clouds and see sex, daydream of nimbus soft textures riding my fingers till they're numb, and I loose a low growl. A bike isn't enough to excise the heat. I need to feel warmth against my skin, seeking as much as I do. I abandon my bike for the run of my legs, and dogs stop to howl at me as I pass. Thank you. Okay. This next poem is about Black hair because I love Black people and our hair and all the ways that we express ourselves. So that's what this next poem is. And this is called In Praise of the Bonnet. In Praise of the Bonnet. Black girl can't go outside in her bonnet. Gotta look done, always. What's on under the head wrap has to be a secret. Even at the sleepover, only Black girl with the covering neck snap to attention at the first flick of Black fabric, and I am cast shame in a white spotlight. No nightcap in the movies or the music videos. She just always somehow falls asleep easy and wakes up hair flip ready, silk pressed, unless you catch her off guard, undone. Once, when a lover shared with me a late night song through the daybreak, I pulled out my bonnet. And when they forgot their covering, I lent them my do-rag. We dressed our heads in silk to protect us from the chafe of cotton, and there was no shame. Bless this undoing. The first time I FaceTimed with a new friend, we showed ourselves in Black bonnets. She breathed a sigh of relief, said, "Good, you already knew what it was." Saw my protection and said it was good. Saw how delicate the strand and said, "Good." When a Black person shows you their satin, it is God. Blessing of guardlessness, there is a comfort and an unspoken understanding. A slight smile, a head nod, a witnessing of selves we've been taught to only show in the moonlight, soft-bellied in softer fabric. Once, my hairdresser, with my hair tenderly tucked in hand, remarked on all my frayed edges, asked if I was keeping myself safe in silk like my sister showed me. Each night, warm brown hands did unto me a ritual of rest, masterfully honeycombed coils to the curves of my skull until I learned to do the same. And she knew I wasn't, that I was fresh from some white girl's house. Bobby shook her head at me. Poor child. Cupped my kinks and anointed my head anew with jojoba blessings, said, "Don't you break off your edges to make other people feel easy." Praise this bonnet bestowed upon me, covenant of Black hair. What an honor of fragile nature, of delicate strands, of tender touch. Blessed is a rest that is truly easy, where I can hover just slightly above a cotton fabric, held high, just a silk scarf above ground. Thank you. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid being taught how to honeycomb my hair. It was really a struggle. If y'all relate, drop love in the chat. Okay, this next poem that I'm going to be reading is called Lonely Eats at Mealtime. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. Lonely Eats at Mealtime. Any Nigerian household that is quiet is full, but not of people. At 5 years old, I set the table and cooked the dinner for a family that does not come home that night. I wait in the dim lighting of the dining room, fall asleep watching the heat of my food dissipate like spirits into the air. My dad only ate at Subway, and he ordered the same thing every time. Even though my mom says I need to stop eating so much, he sneaks me his special blend of tangy flavors and says, "This is our little secret," with a wink. I savor each bite and let the joy grease my chin. The last I hear of my father is a closing door and clinking plates. On the drive to school, my mom asks me in the voice of my 5-year-old self if I miss dad. We sit in silence for 2.5 hours. For the past 5 years, I've gotten food poisoning every single time I eat Subway. I order the same thing anyway. A foot-long honey wheat sub with chicken teriyaki, lettuce, tomatoes, jalapenos, banana peppers, no pickles, sweet onion sauce, a bit of mayonnaise, a dash of vinegar, American cheese, toasted. In the voice of my father, I ask to be fed. I'd rather get full and then sick on what's familiar. I eat meals alone in the dim lighting of my room. I always cook too much for myself, but hate to let the food waste. I would rather devour spirits than watch them disappear. Thank you. Okay, this next poem that I'm gonna read is Hours in a Day. It's a new poem that I just wrote. So I hope y'all like it. There are never enough hours in a day is a phrase that I really hate. Please don't blame the day for the hours lost in it. Don't blame the land for those who claim to be lords of it. The land wants nothing but to give what's given, a seed to a sprout, a blooming to birth, a loss to the soil. Rebirth is the law of nature. Capitalism is the law of loss. Please don't blame the land for the want of food from it, the day for the hours gone in it, the constant not enoughness. Don't blame the sun for her setting. She's teaching us an important lesson: how to end, how to have enough shine, enough light, enough life, just enough. To rest for rest's sake, rest for the reset. I don't blame the day for the hours in it. I blame the world for its own end. Thank you. Okay. This next poem is poem by my pussy hairs, and it's one that makes me smile a lot, so I hope it makes y'all smile too. Okay. This is poem by my pussy hairs. Some regular ass nigga asked me to shave my shit, so suddenly my pussy hairs and I become very preoccupied. Don't even have time to text him back because we get busy making different choices. My pussy decides to dress itself in coarse black wool and blue lace and cook dinner with me instead of with him. My pussy hairs tickle my inner thighs for dessert. When I go to write, my pussy hairs wrap around the pen and say, "Writing pussy poems about people who don't love you is so tired." Say, "Let's go outside instead. Lay in warm grass that hasn't been cut and let the feel of something that don't want to stop growing caress the skin." Pussy hairs grow towards my lips and say, "I want you to see my perspective, to know the feeling of making love to yourself, to feel the luscious tug and give of your skin, feel its warm brown coat with every push through the follicle, to be an endless stream of you." And I stay all quiet and mopey, how I get when I feel rejected by people who I want to want me. But pussy hairs reach up toward my watering eyes and say, "Girl, what? You crying over some false sense of lonely again? If you cried over every person we scared off, you'd make enough sweet river to water the whole world twice. 'Cause that's what you are, Nnenna Loveth, all sweet and fresh inside." I start to giggle when my pussy hairs flick away my tears and tickle my cheeks. Start to moan my own praises when they move my fingers between my inner thighs and say, "I want you to know how an endless stream of sweet water tastes." Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Oh, I love all this love in the chat. I appreciate y'all. Okay, so this next poem is called an Emperor Caligula poem. Just gotta get it up. Okay. So this is also from my chapbook, and this is called Emperor Caligula Once Declared War on the Ocean. Emperor Caligula once declared war on the ocean. He took his men and stabbed at it with spears, declared himself one, took seashells home as souvenirs, and honestly, I get it. I mean, the ocean is dubious, looks so serene, inviting, can hold so much beneath its lazuli surface, and yet regurgitating the lost bones of it all just like that. The truth, my heart, salted and blood thinned on the shore while the sun shines and seagulls call. Most people have not seen a skeleton, but we all know what decay looks like. The water is never finished with me. Honestly, I don't actually hate Pisces. I just hate seeing the ocean want to swallow everything except for me. Yes, I am afraid of rejection. Went through a breakup, several actually. The waves are never done with me. Neither is regeneration or Pisces or karma, and fuck it. I'm pulling a Caligula, bitch. Ocean, meet me outside. I want to beat your ass. Want to drive up to see you in the middle of a sub-zero Massachusetts autumn. See you so we can have it out and I can have this off my chest. Did you know that the sand was once earth, solid, tried its best to keep the water out and the boundaries clear. Now look at it, eroded, and you haven't pulled back since. I know you are in love and all, but sometimes a bitch don't want to let the water in, remembers the fear of drowning. I'm afraid of what doesn't know limits. I'm a Cancer rising. I know the face of my own reflection. I think I'm vulnerable in the same way that the ocean is. Have you ever seen her hold someone close without holding them under? I'm scared of the depth, of desperation, of what the waters disturb in me. It's no surprise the shore retreats from you. Ocean, do you ever fear yourself? Mourn every lover that's leapt into your arms and never came back up the same. Everything that dies in you becomes a part of your depth. I'm scared of losing myself, of that dissolve, of a disappearance. I like my feet on the earth where I can feign belief in separation, in fences. The sand could also call himself a warning, could tell me how they were once rock that just stayed too close. Stay still, rock, says the ocean. With every jagged piece I scrape against, but still different, smaller. I'm afraid of love that metamorphosizes everything in its touch, of what I can't hold and want to hold anyway. Even the moon keeps the waters at a distance. Maybe the waters are as lonely as I am. Ocean, mirror, what can you teach me about forgiveness, about pulling back, the force of love, or learning to swim? Help me to return to myself as I practice. Let me splash, scream in the water with terror and delight, collect seashells, trophies. I win. Even a break up, down, or through resembles child's play to you. Thank you. And I just have two more poems. Thank y'all for listening and showing so much love. I love watching your reactions. It brings me joy. So this next poem is called A Spell Reversal for Codependency. And it is my wish that if you've ever been in a relationship where you've lost yourself, that this poem is a balm and a healing to you. So this is Spell Reversal for Codependency. You will need your voice, the earth's time, used joints, white candles, cinnamon or another sweet spice to entice, and flowers that you would want to blanket your grave. First, fill the tub so that when you sit, the water never stops running, but let there be enough air to breathe, always. Let love be like this. Break apart every pedestal you've placed another person on. Let the white marble dissolve like Epsom salt into the warm bath as you pray, blessings unto my body, ease into my tender muscles. Consider asking that they burn the poems you wrote them. Reconsider that. Remember that you are free regardless. Breathe out very, very loudly as you accept this. Whisper, reality is love, not a subgenre. And then write no more love poems. When you are done, go talk to the pine trees in the yard. Ask them how they practice release, how the only forever was their breath. Try not to yell at God, but if you do, they will understand. Sit at a crossroads, set up camp, make it lovely with white candles, fragrant cinnamon, and flowers of your choosing. Lay still on your side. Become a mountain of a body. Let green moss cover your breasts and rest. When you feel the anger in your chest, don't ignore it. In the aftermath of a volcano, it takes the earth a year to move 3 centimeters in a new position. Borrow the earth's timing. There is no rush. Do nothing. Continue to do nothing. Do nothing for several months, and then fall in love with your solitude, but not in defense of it. Repeat after me 3 times. I chose myself. Ashe. When you are done, rise and return home. Take the Queen of Swords off the altar. Replace with the Queen of Pentacles. Reverse her. Make a home in yourself. Make sure to clear all the spirits from the table. Wipe every empty plate to the ground in one crescendo and let the past be. Take every J in your pocket and bury them in the earth. Look for cardinals instead. Be excruciatingly present. Move the body and listen to the way resentment nearly closes your throat. Practice endurance and open your mouth. Gasp for air 3 times. I've given birth to my own spirit. Thank you. And Nia, do I have time for 2 more poems? Okay, cool. I'm gonna cheat and do 2 more. So this poem's very special to me, and I hope that it's special to y'all too. This is called A Love Poem Held by a Spool's Thread for My Mother's Teen Self. My mother and I are both fixed signs on opposite sides of a square. Her in Aquarius and I a Taurus. I can't help but think of Saturn, Aquarius's original ruler, how that planet rules over structure, boundaries, tradition, time. How it takes Saturn 3 years to transition from one sign to the next. Time is something I don't waste as a queer person. I cannot wait the years it takes for my mother to change. My happiness is of the essence. My mother and I feel like parallel lines that keep running, mirroring each other, never touching. There is a synchronicity among fixed signs. She and I both like to cook, to cultivate. We both went to all-girls schools, and yet she cannot imagine the warmth I feel in the arms of other women. Can't imagine the love on my lips, and I don't understand how you can see them open, hear me speak and not hear my grandmother's freedom. My mother says, I don't know who you're becoming, and I would suppose a version of her that's more free. Sometimes I make a wardrobe of my mother's old clothes and envision her teen self without the man she married at a quarter my age. I shorten the hems, lower the neckline, and strut in all the new I've made from something old. I listen to the sound of each fabric snip, and still None of them spill my mother's secrets. I know her no more than I did before, but at least I look in her image. I gaze in the mirror and know my mother would like this outfit, and for some reason that's a comfort. I wear the gold earrings that I got from her, which she got from her mother, and smile knowing that I come from somewhere. Sometimes, late at night, I take the green line to a party and imagine my mother's teen self meeting me there, or next to me on a train, eyes full of red and green signs and the responsibility to listen only to herself. What she'd think of me, what she'd say to her friends after I leave, maybe something like, huh, that girl, I don't know if I want a child like that, but I like them anyway. I like that they are happy as they are. I don't know if my mother's teen self and I would be best friends, would hang out on the weekends, garden together, cook dinner without arguing, but I imagine that she's here. When I put on my mother's clothes, they get to live a new life, and maybe that means a part of her does too. In this life, the clothes live on a body, on a person who does what they want to, who can afford to experiment, be disapproved of. Maybe in this life, my mother disapproves of me a little less, has weightless shoulders, so I have weightless shoulders too. Maybe my mother's teen self gets to be a teen, even thinks I'm a little cool. I mean, we're both wearing the same skirt, right? That has to mean something. Saturn is also about legacy, what I leave behind, home. I come from somewhere. The person I came from may not be able to hold all that I am, but when I wear these clothes, a part of her does. Protect my reckless, non-binary lesbian ass from the cold, and my feet on the path I choose can still hold me while I walk it. I'm still held in these fabrics. I sashay out of my room in a green plaid miniskirt, white go-go boots, and my mother's off-the-shoulder top, joint in hand. In the photos, my mother wears this top and a smile you can't stop staring at while holding my oldest sister's baby body. We both have a bus to catch. Thank you. Okay, so this is the last poem from me, at least for this evening. Thank y'all so much. And yeah, this is called Should My Descendants Ever Need Me? Should my descendants ever need me, then please know that yellow is the brightest occurring color in nature. It is said that the Arushi broke off a piece of joy, took its glow and seeded it in the soil. Find the places where joy has rooted itself. Summon me there in a field of yellow flowers. Find my mother's voice. I'll know to awaken when I hear the callous palm caress of the Igbo accent. Gather bits and pieces until you have enough. Pluck its rises and falls from a heaving chest. Gather each echo from the hollow of a periwinkle shell. Bring our blood, a cup of seawater, so much of us still lays in the ocean. Remember to wade out this time when I see you. I want to see you as our kin always dreamed of. A loose foot smile pumping blood in onyx, bring me my sister's touch. Before I was first born, it was her hands that placed the dreamscape of me into my mother's womb, and it will be her hands that gather me from the dirt. I've never lived a lifetime without her. In the beginning, when she was the earth, I was the darkness that hovered over it, so you cannot catalyze creation without us. Find her hands in the red beads of an Igbo wedding, in the pink lace of a Shobe girl's, and the paper gold fabric of my mother's gele. Wherever Venus rules, the spirit of my sister resides. Prepare for my coming. Expect my presence when the smell of rain-fed forest pines sweetens the air. Prepare a fire. Feed it fresh okra-covered tripe and toothpicks until my hunger dies into docile embers. Now, watch me rise, draped in night air and moonstone. Thank you.
Thank you so, so much. That was incredible to hear all of your poetry and just to experience the way that you read. And I think Norm or someone shared in the chat, your titles are incredible. I highly agree. So that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Nnenna, for sharing with us. And before we move on to the second half, I'd like to give you this space if there's any other readings coming up. You did share your book in the chat, so everyone please go get your copy. But if there's any other ways that we can support you, show up or learn more about the work that you're doing, I'd love for you to take a moment to share that.
Thank you for that question. Oh, and also thank you for the love. Yes, okay, so I think one of the best things y'all can do if you want to keep up with me is subscribe to my newsletter. I don't send it out very often, so I won't spam you. I do a lot of events in person in Boston. So if you happen to be in the Boston area, the next one that I'll be doing will be September 14th, and that's going to be like a Black Freedom ceremony that I'll be speaking at. And then in terms of virtual events, the best way to keep up with those is by being a part of my newsletter. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So everyone, stay tuned, subscribe, get the book, support. Thank you so much for featuring. So we now have some more wonderful readers coming up in our second half, and I would like to invite up Lakiva Pittman to start us off.
Okay, thank you so much, and wow. Okay, everybody, I am just really honored to be in this space, and then okay, yes, all of you who have already spoken, it's really touched me deeply. So I'm going to jump in those waters. This is called I Am the Instrument. I play within the rhythms of my own life, seeking a pathway of light and wonder and tiny pathways and cavernous entry points. I have no limits, no boundaries except to love fully. So I improvise each new day, and I whisper, I drum, I dance. I am the instrument through which I play the melody of my life. I call upon the ancestors who whisper new songs within my spirit, and I don't hold back. I give it all I've got. I step in unencumbered, unabashedly, because the world is on fire and I am the water. The land is dry and I am the tears. The fear is growing and I've got the love. I am the instrument used by the Holy Presence, inspired to tune you in, to resonate within your heart, to vibrate within your soul, to reverberate within your mind. I am the rock, the truth, the light. I am called and I answer that call. I play in beliefs and prophecies and stories, so that even when your ears don't hear me, your heart does. Your soul knows, your spirit set free, the griot. I am word, I am the instrument. Thank you so much. I want to just dedicate this poem. I wrote this poem, it's called A Tear Was Found. And with the recent deaths in Maui, really deaths all over the world, but I pulled out this poem. It was dedicated to 10 young folks who perished in a crash. They were on their way to Humboldt State to do a performance. And Jose Felipe Herrera, who was the California Poet Laureate, asked us to share a poem. Then he bundled those poems and he presented them to the family. So this is A Tear Was Found. A tear was found on the side of the road, and as it traveled, it rolled upon the earth, and other tears joined in to make a puddle. And that puddle became a pond, and that pond a river that flowed across barren lands And before long, little seedlings pop through, and flowers and vegetables, and soon birds and bees and butterflies gather to rejoice in the sight and to give thanks to the tear that gave birth to this light. It reminds us that each tear nourishes the soil, and all these things are eternal and transcendent as they metamorphize into new and beautiful things. 10 butterflies took flight where love is everlasting and can be known in the heart forever singing. To be felt in the wind and seen in a shooting star, they will be there in a fragrance caught sweet in midair. And in the wee small hours of the morning, they will whisper how much they love you and how much you mean to them. I'm in the breath you breathe, and in each memory, I am with you always where the tear was found. Thank you. I have one short one I can get in 30 seconds. Here I go. It's a shorty. It's called Eyes. I gazed into your eyes today and saw me, new me, old me, ancient me, surrendered me, longing me, satisfied me, peaceful me, the true me, the soul me. Within the depths of your pupils, I waded in the waters of my own salvation, baptized in the holiness of the moment. I am free. I am free. I am free. That's my time.
Thank you so much, Lakiva. Those poems
Thank
were
you.
beautiful,
Thank you.
and it's so wonderful to hear your poetry again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, I would like to invite Sandra Curry up to the mic. Welcome.
Oops. Ah. Can you hear me? I'm trying to unmute.
We can hear you.
Oh, can
Yes.
you hear me now? Yeah, sorry. Hello, and thank you once again for having me. Once again, my video is janky. It's not in sync. So I hope my video is okay. My audio is okay. So everybody can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. Okay. So I'm going to do a couple of poems that deal with traumas that, you know, in light of when I was picking them out, in light of the COVID nightmare, it seems like they're from like back in the day, but it wasn't that far away, but you know, the whole COVID trauma overshadowed everything. But anyway, the first one is called Say My Name Too. Say my name too. My name is Sandra Curry. Her name is Sandra Bland. Both of us, Sandra and Sandra, share a heritage that binds us together for good into a beautiful sisterhood. And although our sisterhood has made great strides, college attendance at record highs, entrepreneurship enriching our lives, it seems our hearts and souls are very beings, our visions, so very many are still not seen. We are still rejected and disrespected, blamed and betrayed, abused and molested. Despite the subtle and blatant degradation, we fight to stay strong, to rise, still we rise. But how many hear our muffled screams and cries? Help wipe the tears from our swollen eyes. Know the depth of trauma and despair caused by the constant barrage of stereotypical lies. How can our sisterhood destroy this roost, this cover-up of abuse, to reveal and celebrate our truth? A truth that we do have broken pieces of ourselves we need together. A truth that our lives really do matter. A truth that day by day we face the pain so searing, it breaks our hearts through and through. A truth that should move you and you and you to say my name too. Thank you. And this last one is called The Cuffs Were Too Big. On August 3rd, the year 2020, a Sunday, Brittany Gilliam and the girls were going to the nail salon, then on to get ice cream for their much anticipated fun day. the best laid plans, then all hell broke loose. And the cuffs were too big for the 6-year-old's little hands. Forced at gunpoint from the SUV, the little 6-year-old cried and screamed for her mama as she laid face down on the concrete, now living through an unthinkable trauma. She, along with her 17-year-old aunt and 14 and 12-year-old cousins, would never be the same joyous, innocent young girls after being treated like rabid animals by 5 cops who didn't even ask her name. 2 hours of life would define her from this day and wake her up screaming night after night while she goes and fights constantly to find her way. Joyous no more, just trying to survive. The horror of the scene vivid still, but at least she's alive. Just the August a year before, Elijah McClain died on the same streets, blocks from his front door, murdered by the same cops, shot with an animal tranquilizer that stopped his heartbeats. Turns out the SUV was not stolen. In fact, looked nothing like the motorcycle described to the cops. So what story would now be woven? On January 30th, the year 2021, the authorities announced the cops were just behaving strong, once again doing their jobs, but nothing wrong. The Attorney General also announced the same day a grand jury would finally be impaneled to investigate Elijah McClain's murder by the cops behaving the same way. On July 20th, the year 2012, James Egan Holmes fired 76 shots, killing 12 and wounding 70, arrested without incident next to his car in one of the theater's parking lots. Not forced to the ground, no tasers, bullets, or tranquilizers needed for him, just peacefully taken into custody, despite all the people he had just gunned down. Still trying my best to make all this right in my head. Still, my heart is so broken, even though she's not dead. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing both of those pieces. And while hubby, your writing is beautiful. Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Makeda up to the mic. Welcome.
Hi. Hi, everybody. This is very lovely. Thank you for inviting me. I have 2 brief poems, and one of them is just inspired. I'm the youngest of 3 girls, and I'm the last one left. So some days I just miss my daddy. This is one of those days. This poem is dedicated to my daddy. 2 days a month, Mama washed and pressed our hair, tied huge bows in our braids, gave us some bangs if Daddy came through the kitchen and asked her to. Sometimes I wondered if bangs were his business. That was back when Black women had their own self-business. Mama dressed us up in frilly homemade dresses, greased our legs, fed us salmon croquettes, grits, and biscuits, and told us to put on a sweater. Legs shiny with Vaseline, we raced to the blue Buick parked in the driveway to see who was going to sit in the front seat next to Daddy. Daddy was fine, black, always dressed sharp as a tack, casual suit, Stetson hat, Stacey Adams on his feet, Mason ring on his pinky, and an old school gold tooth that sparkled when he grinned. Daddy never left home without his handkerchief. It was for things in your eye, splinters in your finger, food on your face, and tears. It was Saturday. The sky was cloudless in Richmond, California, and all was well in our world. We were off to the library with Daddy. Then to Moo's, the neighborhood ice cream joint, where Daddy always ordered vanilla. Afterward, he would press his hanky against the corners of my mouth, even if there was nothing there. Just my daddy today. Okay, and then I have one more brief one. And it's titled I'm not for everyone. I'm not for everyone. I have layers, undefinable, and corners that ain't pointed around. Most times I suffer, don't want to be here. Just let me be a leaf hanging from a tree, a butterfly, the indigo of a rainbow, a little creek where birds gather. Come on, something that just beholds, not this being with an ocean of feelings, open, vulnerable, sometimes fearful with the notion of God and all her doings. Blind sometimes, oftentimes seeing and knowing too much other times. Desiring a love story, one that survives black and the dirty truth of human imperfection. Nope, I'm not for everyone. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Makeda, for sharing both of those poems. It's wonderful to hear your writing. Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Roma Simpson up to the mic. Welcome.
Thank you, you guys. Thank you for having me. This is a poem about Black women. Black women are sweet. We'll have your baby and not ask to marry you. We'll put Jordans on a credit card, celebrate your birthday in her Section 8 basement apartment, bail you out of jail with cosmetology school tuition money, defend your habits, your lack of commitment, lie to the police. Black women are sweet. Come to jailhouse visits on buses, get her makeup together in the parking lot, put welfare money on your books and deliver messages from your homeboys, tattoo you on her breast, then hear some other chick speak your name and swallow that hurt, claim you on these streets, call you strong and beautiful, kiss you through industrial glass. And because Black women are sweet and patient, with sweet names like cinnamon, peaches, honey, and chocolate, and have watched so many brothers hurry toward death. For you are her son and her lover, and often her burden. When her late window lit is the only exit from infinite night, and the last inbound train harbors assassins who chant your name. When you arrive frightened and fractured, thank God sisters see past game and read eyes and fresh scars, loitering cars, and stars. Thank you. My second poem is about friendship. And sometimes when we are in high school, especially when I was coming up, there weren't cell phones and other things. So if your friend moved with their parents, they just simply disappeared out your life. You come to school on Monday and that cat's not there. So this is about friendship. You once said, my mother had Guatemalan nostrils. And I said, your mama shaped like a burrito with a bite out of it. And you said, nigga, your mama belly looked like an injured bum elbow. And I said, motherfucker, your mama lips look like a refrigerated blackberry cobbler. I haven't laughed like that in a while. And the one night you said, my mother was so fat, her car had stretch marks on it. And I said, your mama's so fat, she put deodorant on around her neck and behind her knees. I got your ass that night. You always had some shit to say. Then you'd ask if I had any money. I'd say, none for you, nigga. And you'd say, spot me on a burger special. And I would. And you said, your mama's so strong, she say, close the windows so she can blow a bubble with the house. And I said, your mama greased her forehead, brushed her teeth, and went pit bull hunting. And you said, nigga, your mama ride a skateboard to church and wear a ground beef wig. And I said, your mama got a titty full of liquor and a lazy eye. You always talking crazy. Then you said, they trying to make us move, man, you know? Moms told me today, they say we got less than a week. And I said, oh man, y'all know where you gonna go? And you said, not really, Texas. My mom saying Texas. I said, damn, Texas nigga, your mama shaped like Texas. You said, your mama got a Rhode Island body. I said, what you gonna do out there? And you said, I don't know. I said, y'all can sell camel humps and pit bull paws outside Kmart. And you said, or do like y'all, rap, stink, and eat dirty snow. I said, y'all flathead niggas can flip pancakes for a living. And you said, that's why your mama praised the Lord like a holla monkey. And I said, that's why your mama smell like boiling midget urine. And you said, man, I don't know nobody out there. And I said, man, I hear niggas this country out there making burgers with biscuits and shit. You laughed and said, damn, man, possum burgers and shit. I said, with jackrabbit gravy, nigga. You said, time here is short. I said, not as short as your mama. You said, your mama's so short, she walked into a toenail and lost an eye. I said, your mama's so short, she eat top ramen in a baby shoe. And you said, your mama ain't got no teeth talking about, I'll chew you up. And I said, your mama in a wheelchair talking about, ain't nobody gonna push me around. And you said, nigga, that's a dud. Where you get that shit from? I said, you know I got you. You said, with that weak ass bag? I said, you know there's a whole lot of world out there, a lot of other places. When you get there, you'll show them niggas what's up. You dig that? You said, I know. They say everywhere is like everywhere, but everywhere out there ain't here. You understand? And I said, yeah. We looked around, we saw your bus coming, the early night, and attendant stars in tow. We rose to meet it. You said, all right then, man, and gave me a pound. I dapped you back. You said, here comes your mama, right on time. I said, fuck you, nigga. The door opened. All right then, and took you away.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing those poems. Next up, I would like to invite Tarita McKell up to the mic. Welcome, Tarita.
Hi, Nia. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good, good. I had to get another computer, and so I'm afraid to turn on everything because it's been missing other things. So until I really get the handle on it, please excuse me for not being there, but you can hear my voice and we'll take it from there. Okay. This poem called out, and my God, all the poems I've heard, you know what it's like here. You know, when we listen, just everyone's poems, everything in the, wow, the guest speaker and, ooh, wow. So this poem, I may have read it before, I don't know. But it is, it's more like a report. It's about Miriam Makeba, Mama Africa. Do not forget. And this happened. It's like a little Twilight Zone kind of thing. Anyway, your CD rests on my brown burwood dresser, recalls your melanated feet before bedtime sleep, your beatbox raged on Zellerbach's stage that day. The audience dare not say your feathers are not otherworldly. 2 airplane crashes you survived. Sprawled on blue coral floral bed mat on tan tough carpet, back facing dressers, recorded memories of you. Dreamtime slips between firebirds' promised wing. Transports east windows bullion treasures. Discharging summer heat. Dusting face tenderly serene when silence salutes authority, vacuuming all near and distant sounds. No birds chirp, no wings flutter, no date palm leaves tussle against the breeze. Instead, a foreign hum invades sound. Like steam releasing pressure from a large pot cooking something. My nerve cells run, high-pitched ring in ear, heartbeats booming, lung breath snatch, expands, contract quick while shock pauses ear to overhear. CD lift, suspend, dangle, rattle, then drop. Palms sweat, caressing covers, cocoon, clock stops. I can't move or change the way I lay. I'm afraid of what has taken place. I can feel and hear, but cannot see. Ghost signal fades, crackling like a needle on a vinyl record ending. Moments pass. Exhaling gasp, a breeze turns me over, surrendering Mama Africa's CD laying next to me. Who delivered her deed of trust? Who opened that channel? I remember Mama Africa backstage after Seravina's play at San Francisco Orpheum Theater, narrating the massacre of Black South African children running in mass rebellion against the new language and syllabus of Dutch Afrikaners who purchased South African lands unbeknownst to the children who were gunned down for trespassing. Mama wailed a cry as if it could stop the grave diggers' plot against life, saying, parents should never have to keep burying their children. Exiled from her South African home for 31 years. Black South Africans disinherited from land by colonial overseers presently own 10% of their native territory. How does the vicar witch of Christ, defender of a faith, advise with Bible verse they provide to native South Africans? Remove not the ancient landmark which your fathers have set. Proverbs 22:28. Mama Africa, your otherworldly memory rippled waters on my shore. Early that morn, vibrating a sound that rocked me to my core. 2 weeks before, the ancestral oar rowed you back home. And that's that one. And do I have time for one more or no?
You can do one more.
I have been summoned by 8 star beings, maybe more, but they're the only ones that magnetize me from this soil. Like a tree drawn up, reaching, remembering, calling the me in me every summer to question, who am I? A friend invites me to his home, sitting on his mudcloth couch of Dogon ethereal routes. His living room window displays last bit of summer's amber play, casting a ray on his tall nut brown stock. As it walks across cherry wood floor, carrying steps into a veiled door, exposing another time that dresses him in clothes 400 years or more old. He is a nobleman, an honored guest in Hawaii. I test this vision with him, tell him what I've seen. How did you know, he asked. I lived in Hawaii. Past life interrupts present time, demanding a hearing. So we partner on a 12-minute video art piece documenting the nomadics, linking Africa and Asia. Production begins. We arrive at Alice Coltrane's ranch in caravan of 3 cars, 9:30 p.m., warm, balmy eve extracts fluid from skin, bleeding, moist beads that leave me thirsty. Reaching for water bottle and backpack near feet, my head is snatched up by 8 star beings. Here they are again, watching, pulling tears from my eyes. What does the me in me know of these starry skies? Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Tarita. That was lovely. Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Lillian Warrior up to the mic. Welcome. Lillian, are you here with us?
Sorry, I had to step away for a second.
No worries.
Okay. So I don't have the best lighting. Is that okay if I read for today without my camera on?
Of course.
Okay. Okay. So this is a poem that is still in the works. I am trying to not judge myself too hard. So, it's going to be a narrative of some sort. So I'm still working on what I'd like my craft to really look like. So here you go. Okay. In the frightful quieting of the heat, with the sun slowly approaching the horizon, we marched on. This scene is in my memory, how my mind would flee normalcy as we danced in the crowd, the multitude becoming one mind, to the call of the persuasive drums pounding, do, do, do. One foot after the other, we stomped onwards, past the tenements, past the Swahili houses, past the storied apartments, sheshe brewing with every dance move. We'd make it through the neighborhood. It would start with just the drummer, then a dancer would join from communities far away. A wave of passion would sweep through this dusty plain, carrying kith and kin. On those evenings, I would be in the mix, my sister following suit in my antics, hips swaying slightly, dust rising and falling behind as the mind moved forward. In memory now, they killed the mind. The dust no longer touched by this crowd. No one mourned its death. No warning was issued. I'm left searching for the mind as I lay every night. The sounds that arrived that carried feverish excitement into the atmosphere only now echo and fade. From whence last I had them, gone with the last hard thrum of the drum. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for reading. I loved hearing your work and excited to see the direction it takes. Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Karita Wilson up to the mic. Welcome.
You're muted, sister.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, perfect. My name is Karita Wilson. I'm from Houston and I am a short story writer. The story that I'm going to be reading today is titled Little Miss Sunshine. Close your eyes and put yourself in the year 1960 as Dolores Frank takes you on a journey of her life while learning of a growing disability. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. My name is Dolores Frank, and I'm 11 years old. Since I was a little girl, my mother sang This Little Light of Mine around the house. If I didn't hear it sang at one of the many church services we had to attend, then she played it and sang along to it daily. Mama kept a small rectangular shaped porcelain music box on her nightstand. It played the same one verse of This Little Light of Mine as she sang along to the melodic notes in her soft spoken tone. After cranking the metal knob on the side, the song will begin to play again and again. One day I asked her, Mama, what that mean? She naturally said, baby, it means to let the world see your light. God shines through you so you can shine through others. I didn't quite understand how I was supposed to shine through others when I wasn't the sun or a light bulb, but I found myself clapping and singing the same verse on the route to school, singing it to my dolls, and singing it around the house like Mama would do. Our church was on the same street as our home, so you know what that means. Mama made us attend both services on Sundays, mission on Monday, Bible study on Tuesday, prayer on Wednesday, revivals, and anything else the church had going on. Mount Bethel Missionary Baptist Church, where Reverend E.L. Henry was the pastor. Church was like our second home, and quite frankly, the only place on earth you can get an A and B selection from the choir, a sermon from the reverend, a fashion show, weekly fellowship, and a fried chicken plate after church. I loved hanging with Mama and the ladies from the mission committee. On first Sundays, they had to wear all white, and it was all eyes on them. I never knew what the symbolism of white meant, but when they entered the church, they stepped with grace and mercy in their all-white two-piece suits, white stockings, white shoes with a 2-inch heel, matching church hat and handbag stuffed with Kleenex, peppermints, and a few pieces of butterscotch candy. The mission sisters became good friends with Mama and women I look up to. Whether we were making fruit baskets for the community or getting the church extra clean for the church anniversary, I was just happy to be a helping hand and did so with a big smile on my face. That's how they gave me the name Sunshine, because of my big, bright smile and cheerful spirit. Little Miss Sunshine, the old ladies would say. Those same old ladies showed my 11-year-old eyes how much we can get done as a people if we show kindness and work together. I grew up with three brothers and 2 sisters in a small Louisiana town 20 miles south of Baton Rouge. Shortly after I was born, my father passed away from cirrhosis of the liver, leaving Mama as a single parent of 6. As the youngest of the bunch, my siblings turned into parental figures while Mama spent many hours working as a seamstress. As my siblings and I grew into adults and moved to different parts of the world, Mama shared many stories and struggles of raising us in the 60s during a time of discrimination and racial divide. But one thing she taught us was no matter what the age, skin color, or what a person is wearing, always practice kindness. Mama was blessed to make it to the age of 99 years old before life slowed her down, her memory faded, and her organs began to fail. In the year 1978, after giving birth to my 3rd daughter, was when life changed. I lost vision in my left eye and had 70% of vision remaining in my right. By the year 2015, I was blind in my left eye and 10% of vision remained in my right eye. The doctors diagnosed me with retinopathy, which is a damage to the retina caused by abnormal blood flow. After learning the diagnosis is hereditary on my grandfather's side, I also learned my grandfather, as well as myself, did not experience symptoms until his vision became impaired and it was too late. Knowing there was no known cure and my vision would worsen with age devastated me, coupled with the fact that my father's side of the family had a history of diabetes, lung disease, and heart problems. For over a year, I cried and cried, spending many nights questioning God. Questioning why did it have to be me and what had I done to deserve losing my vision? I told God there was people who ain't been to the regular doctor, much less the eye doctor, in months, probably years, but I was the one being punished. My confusion turned into hurt as I now had to make adjustments around the home while becoming dependent on others and their time clock. For over a year, it felt like God was asleep. It felt like God couldn't hear my prayers and I was slowly losing faith. Mama's words came to me as she would tell my siblings and I, count your blessings, not your problems. You think you got it bad? Somebody else got it 10 times worse. She would say, meditate on the word and hide it in your heart. Your days won't always be easy, but he'll never give you more than you can bear. I didn't understand what Mama meant by meditate on the word and hide it in your heart until faced with my eye condition, but now I know. One Sunday morning, I sat patiently on the front porch waiting for the church van to arrive. The transportation committee accommodated the elderly who needed a ride to and from service. Once at church, I went straight to my seat a few rows behind the First Lady. After the Reverend gave the benediction and the members prepared to exit the sanctuary, a small voice could be felt in my presence. Hi, my name is Ivory Johnson, she said. Well, hello, Ivory, I responded. My name is Ms. Dolores Frank. Are you blind? She asked with no hesitation. Yes, I replied. Can you see? She pressed. Not much, I shared, curious to know why she was asking. Can you wear glasses? She continued. Chuckling at her innocence, I told her, no, Ivory, unfortunately, glasses won't help me. Well, my mama is a nurse. Maybe she can help, Ivory stated with willingness. Ivory then reached into her purse or pocket and handed me a balled up dollar bill. The bill must have been attached to a candy wrapper based on the stickiness, but I was more intrigued by her thoughtfulness at such a tender age. Here's $1. This can help get your eye fixed, Ivory said proudly. Thank you, sweetie. I will be sure to keep this dollar and never spend it. Her small frame gave my legs the sweetest hug before running back off to her mother. After being visually impaired from reading the Bible, doing crossword puzzles, or enjoying senior citizen night at the bingo hall, I was introduced to the world of technology that read the Bible to me, played music, and provided daily devotionals. My confidence began to build as I let go of excuses and what I couldn't do because of my disability and learned there was so much more to be thankful for. If Stevie Wonder made it work, so can I. Now, I may not have Stevie's money, but I'm healthy and all of my friends, siblings, children, and grandchildren are blessed to still have me on this earth. In 2022, I participated in a fashion show sponsored by the Red Hat Society of Houston, an organization that encourages women to get the most out of life. I was escorted down the runway, strutting my best strut, wearing a long sleeve mulberry colored dress that flared at the ankle, silver pointy toe pumps with a flower detailed at the toe, silver gloves with a matching handkerchief for a little razzle dazzle, and a red wide-brimmed Donna Vinci hat etched with silver rhinestones. This was no competition, but the way I sashayed in my 4-inch heels, waving and grinning as the audience cheered and applauded me on, I felt like I was the winner at the Senior Citizen Miss America pageant. For the first time, I felt like Little Miss Sunshine again. The 11-year-old Dolores, whose smile could light up a room, felt whole again. That is the person God created me to be. Till this day, at the timeless age of 74, I continue to participate in fashion shows around town, attend many functions at the church, and can make a mean pot of oxtail soup. As long as I have breath in my body, I will live each day like it's my last and continue to let my light shine. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that story. That was incredible and so
Thank
great
you.
to hear you reading it. Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Angelica Reciero up to the mic. Welcome.
Thank you. I have 3 poems. The first poem is called Watching Oppenheimer After the Layoffs. A theater is a container to absorb shock. For the next 3 hours, I'll watch a man fall from grace and forget my own. My phone glows full of my own eulogies, people writing to me, about me, as if job loss is death in the third person. The food court japchae in my lap are the first bites I can stomach all day. Sneaking it in and eating with chopsticks, a small defiance against the American projects of atomic bombs and workforce cuts. I join the on-screen scientists sans goggles and barely blink as they detonate a damned day lighting everything unknown in white. This next poem is called Driving Through the Central Coast. After the storms in California and seeing all the flowers. Driving through the Central Coast, where beauty is a neon accident and an omen spelled in wildflowers. Poppies stretched open into super bloomed strangers. No longer flutes playing quietly for the sun. They are cymbals crashing orange on a hillside. The natives have taken over, claiming entire fields fuchsia and laughing in long golden trails. Both miracle and hazard to human eyes. Stunned drivers pull over to wade in the bounty of a warming world. And this last one was from a recent trip to Mexico, where I visited someone from Celaya, which they say is the most dangerous city in the world. The man from the most dangerous city in the world. In a courtyard in storybook San Miguel, Norberto, whose name means North Star, tells me of life less than an hour away, where they've stopped counting the women that disappear. Every day the sun has risen, he has been Mexican and I American. But while the band plays today, we are salseros with 4 feet, ruled by the ringing beat of the clave. When he laughs, the doors of the town open, freeing music where it once was trapped. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing those poems. It was great to hear your writing. Thank you. And last, but certainly not least, I would like to invite up Avacha up to the mic.
Wow, what an evening. This has been pretty awesome. What can I say? Thank you, everybody. I got a couple. This is a very strange time, but today is Marcus Garvey's birthday, one of my heroes. And Poppy was a Garveyite, and so it's a special day that we shouldn't forget. And I also want to thank Tarita for mentioning Mary McKayla. Truly, the woman was more powerful and more courageous than most people even have the courage to imagine. But anyway, so I got a couple here. This one is in Spanglish, but you'll get the message. Negra in the Caribbean just doesn't mean black woman, or black, it means sweetheart, darling, and in the mouth of slimy people, you know, that other word, that negative word. So, but this poem is called Canto de un sueño realizado, where I sing about a dream come true, because there was a time where, and there seems to be certain creatures are trying to turn it around, where they want to bury the truth about who we are and what have you. But the beauty of who we are, regardless how dark we are, how light we are as Black women, I dedicate this to all of us. Yo soy la negra, a precious jewel, the hidden beauty that Helena Rubinstein has tried for 100 years to find in one of her plastic bottles. Yo soy la negra, mine is the smile that has driven whole populations insane from Dar es Salaam to San Juan, from the world's wealthiest palaces to the poorest of slums. Yo soy la negra, I am the gentle fire they tried to drown in all their disguised lies of individuality and unasked for gifts of chains and slavery, only to discover that my soul is not a bargaining chip and my courage is non-negotiable. La negra soy yo. Today, tomorrow, and yesterday, always and forever, eternamente indominable, I am the daughter of the mother of dreams, the giver of birth, to love of life, this earth and our children's freedom. Una joya preciosa soy yo, an army of one inside an army of truth-bearing Amazons, a blossoming army of millions, and we're coming Black. Sí, sin duda, ella soy yo, proudly and beautifully Black, an unescapable fact. I say an inescapable fact, and like the darkness of the night sky, there is absolutely no way anyone can negate that. And this one was called Never Alone, and I wrote it a little while back because of listening to people, they always talk about we have this one hero and this one that and one, but the reality is anywhere we've been enslaved, there have been a lot of heroes, a lot of who people you don't hear. And thanks to these creatures that are rewriting books, you'll even hear less. But there have been a lot of Nat Turners and a lot of Harriet Tubmans, and I'm not trying to negate Harriet Tubman or Nat Turner, but I'm saying that there have been a lot. And please do your homework and give them the credit they're due. So this is called Never Alone. And if you hear any names in here that you don't recognize, do your homework. That's the teacher me speaking. We have never, never, ever been alone. Marcus Garvey, Arturo Schoenberg, David Walker, Ida B. Wells, Dessalines, and Queen and Zinga, and all those other incorruptible ancestors who showed their contempt for slavery and servitude by spitting in the face of evil, jumping overboard and freeing their souls, proud, unchained souls whose restless spirits still roam the ocean's floor, stamping their presence on our dreams and minds and hands, revealing their essence and creativity all over the globe. We were never alone. Zumbia Palmares, Kawaya, AKA John Horst, Harriet Tubman, and Argentina's El Negro Falucho, our beautiful, brilliant ancestors manifest themselves in life-saving rhythms, rhythmic vitamins like La Bomba, bold rhythmic magic, revitalizing our lives with samba, rumba, lando, and juba. They sing to us in daydreams and dance with us on stages. Their tears become our paintings, our books, our poems, and feed our self-esteem when life tries to get in our way. We will never be alone. I said, we will never be alone. Ja es Santa Wada, Denmark Vesey, Granny Nanny, Alonso de Illescas, and Gaspar Shanga, the unstoppable freedom fighter, hero of Veracruz, who reincarnated themselves in each and every one of us, said, hell no, we are here. We are free, and no matter what they say, we're here today and we're here to stay. We are the voice of the millions of ancestors whose names we never got a chance to know. Ancestors who know that some of us are brave enough to know their truth, to know that we were born to tell their truth, and sworn to repaying their sacrifices every day with our actions, a sacred legacy written in blood, forever inscribed in our souls, an internal tattoo, an inescapable reminder to let us never forget. I say to never let us forget to remember the price they paid for us to know that we were never alone, that we are never alone, and we will never, never, ever be alone. I have a website, and also we have a multilingual poetry series, and it's the fourth Saturday of the month. We always have 4 features and 10 open mics, so if you want to be one of those 10, you get there early. I'll put the information in the chat. And also, if you're in California, Northern California, on Saturday is going to be a big Garvey celebration happen at Lowell Park. You know, it'd be an all-day thing. Join us. And with that, thank you for listening to my words, and support MOAD, support the Museum of the African Diaspora. They do a lot of work, not just this poetry reading and what have you, a lot of work of some amazing exhibits, and remind us every single day how alone we are not. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Avacha. It's incredible, as always, to hear your poetry, and thank you for your ongoing support of MOAD and being such an advocate for us and the work that we do. So thank you. I want to thank all of our readers today for this incredible, fulfilling, uplifting open mic. Thank you, Nnenna, for your feature. I feel so happy leaving this virtual space, carrying on those words that you all shared. So thank you. As Avacha so conveniently mentioned, this is one of the many programs that we do with MOAD. Whether you're local to the Bay Area or not, we have many offerings, lots of public programs, artist talks, film screenings, poetry events like this. So I invite you to visit our website, moadsf.org, and check out our calendar for more events you can come to. This series is monthly, and so we will be doing this again in this virtual space on September 21st, and we will have poet Erica Lewis featuring. So please join us again. If you're interested in reading, follow the link in the chat and sign up to read, or sign up to come and listen again. We always love everyone being here, whether you're reading or whether you're part of our audience. And beyond our programs, we would love for you to stay involved with the museum by becoming a member, making a donation, sharing our work with people in your network. It really goes a long way as we continue to do the work. And lastly, we'd like to hear from you. We have a program survey we just shared in the chat. Please take a few moments after the program. Give us any thoughts, feedback about the program, anything else you'd like to see from us and the platform that we have. And we take that feedback very seriously as we craft our programs and for the work that we do with MOAD. So thank you all for contributing and supporting in all of these various ways. And I look forward to seeing you again, either in this space or in person at the museum. So take care, everyone, and thank you.